Answer this question in your head. And if you feel comfortable, answer in the comments below. Do you believe in a spiritual world, or perhaps a life after death? Or are you a materialist, convinced that everything that exists can be sensed or measured? Whatever your belief system, we tend to associate materialism more with modern times and atheist movements. But back in Vedic age India, around 600 BCE, a philosophy developed that predated any other materialist beliefs. It was called Charvaka. This philosophy was firmly against the established religion and preached hedonism. The main tenets were that any truth established had to be directly perceived, and that which could not be perceived cannot exist. Also, that the main purpose of human existence is the pursuit of pleasure, which was the ultimate good, while any pain was evil. It also viewed religion as a method for the rich and powerful to exploit the lower classes. It's thought that Cārvāka was formed as a response to the religious Vedic views prominent during the Vedic period, which began around 1500 BCE. The period gets its name from the Vedas, which are the oldest texts in Hinduism. The word Veda means knowledge, and the four Vedas are meant to be the knowledge which grants one a universal truth, or order, and one's place in it all. The texts themselves were regarded as being the words of the universe, spoken in vibrations, and only heard by wise men and sages while they meditated. These wise men retained the messages in an oral tradition until the Vedic period, when they were written down. This led to the rise of Brahmanism, which emphasized that the world had order. And if there is order, the belief was there must be someone to maintain this order. That someone was Brahman, a being so powerful, it both created the universe, and was itself the universe. Though human beings couldn't possibly fathom the power of Brahman, it was thought that each person held a bit of his spark, called Atman, and the goal of life was to unify your Atman with Brahman. To accomplish this, one must perform dharma, or one's lifelong duties, with karma, or day-to-day actions. This frees you from the circle of life and death, known as samsara, and liberates you, known as moksha. Either seek out and accept this union, or suffer in life, after life, until you finally do accept it. Those schools who accepted the Vedas, and the concepts of Brahman and the Atman, were called Astika, meaning there exists. Those who did not accept them, were called Nastika, meaning there does not exist. Nastika schools included Buddhism, Jainism, and Charvaka. The main problem Charvaka had with the Vedas is the Vedas simply could not be empirically proven. Belief only materially benefited the priest class, as they were given gifts, sacrifices, and penitential gestures. And belief was all based on an unprovable claim. While Buddhism and Jainism sat with Charvaka in rejecting the Vedas, Charvaka was the only completely materialist belief system. Both Buddhism and Jainism involve concepts of spirituality, such as karma and suffering. Charvaka's counter to suffering is quite simple: pleasure. As there is no concept of a soul in Charvaka, there is no need to practice any kind of bodily restriction, and if something brings pleasure, there is nothing for which to feel shame. Karma also cannot exist, as there is no higher power to keep balance. Rituals and religious rules are simply meant to benefit the upper classes. In terms of cosmology, there was no reason to believe a creator made the universe, as an event so far gone had no impact on one's current life. Life itself could easily have come about on its own, as was observable in daily life, so there was no need to look for a higher power for answers. While the school of thought was based in hedonism, it was still practiced ethically. Proper behavior would be what's best for the most people, and wrong behavior, what's worst for the majority. So even their ethics were based on the material world, unlike the religious moral teachings which promoted guilt and denied people of earthly pleasures. While this type of atheistic thinking was rare in ancient times, it developed later on in other areas. In ancient Greece, the politician, Critias, also stated that religion is just a way for the strong to exert power on the weak, and Aristippus of Cyrene was a hedonist as well. His works were often compared to Yong Zhu, who was also an atheist, and believed in pursuing pleasure, no matter what the cost. Epicurus, another hedonist, would view pleasure as life's ultimate goal, but viewed the road there very differently. YOLO, to Epicurus, didn't mean to do as you please, just because you only live once. He instead took it to mean that since you only live once, one should prolong life, and only enjoy those things which don't cause danger or health concerns, in order to keep enjoying these same things. As can be expected, Cārvāka was not received well by the heads of society and the priests. Apart from undermining the power of the upper class, it also was seen as dangerous to believers, denying them of hope and meaning of life. Both the virtuous and the wicked meeting the same end and forgotten within a couple of generations is a hard pill to swallow. Though it seems more appealing today, as we've found more answers in the physical world, Charvaka did not end up being a widespread belief and didn't survive past the medieval period. In truth, we have no direct sources for Charvaka at all, as the Brahaspati Sutra, thought to be its central text, was either lost or destroyed. While it countered the Vedas directly, Jainism and Buddhism also viewed Charvaka negatively. And this poses a problem, as the only sources we have are from those hostile towards it. While it never caught on in totality, Charvaka ideals would still permeate through and form a bridge, balancing both spiritual and material views, and was influential in the subcontinent's intellectual progress. Sickness, or disease, began to be seen more as a natural occurrence, instead of divine vengeance. By the same token, wealth and prosperity stopped being seen as a sign of virtue, or a reward from a higher power. Europe would accept most of these ideals 2,000 years later, during the Enlightenment, and while the Greeks did dabble in similar thoughts during the ancient period, Charvaka was already being practiced for hundreds of years on the Indian subcontinent, shunning the indefinite, infinite, and embracing the definite, finite.